this video I will show you what's new in Rayforge 1.4. This release brings many new features. Even though it's only been 1 week in the making, there's been so much that I didn't want to wait any longer. The list of new features is really long. So let's go through them one by one. First of all, and probably the biggest new feature, is the support for Rotary Axis. If you go into the machine settings, you will now see here a new section for rotary modules. And there you can configure one or many. If you enable it by default, then new layers will have the rotary mode by default. Right now, the settings underneath are unused, except for the axis letter that you have to configure. This is what will be included in the G code, and the default diameter. The other ones are for future use. In 1.5, probably we will have some additional features that will help visualize the chuck, but this is not yet in 1.4. So once you have configured the modules, you can go into your layer settings, which is also new. There's a new icon here, and configure the rotary mode by enabling it here. You can choose here which module you want to use this axis for, and you can choose the object diameter, which is obviously very important for dimensional accuracy of your engraving. So then you will see on your canvas this yellow frame appears. This is what marks the zone where your rotary axis is. You can see here it's centered in the vertical axis on the green line, which is the coordinate system 0 point marker. So probably first you want to set where this axis sits. Let's say on your machine it sits at 40, then you would go here and would configure it to the Y position being 40. And then you can save that. Configure the Z height if you need to, because your machine has a Z axis. I leave this at 20 here for now. And then let's place this exactly at the center, which is the top of the cylinder, as you will see in the preview. So then let's make this maybe a little bit larger, something like this. Actually, that won't fit, so let's fit it that it fits the cylinder here, something like this. And then in the 3D view, here you see the preview of the cylinder and where it would be engraved. Also note here the icon. Layers that are for rotary axis get a different symbol than the standard layers, like this one here. That brings us right to the next news. The add buttons, which were underneath the layers and the assets, have now been moved into the expander header. That is to make this vertical layout more compact, because quickly this is filling up. If you have something selected here, then already some of the settings are not visible. So this is always a little bit tight on space, but now at least there's a little bit more visible. We have changes planned to further improve this for the next release. The next new feature is an improved camera image calibration. Unfortunately, I cannot fully show you how it works because my laser unfortunately broke. I'm waiting for some replacement, but I can show you what the user interface looks like. So first of all, you would go to the image settings. And now here you see this wizard button. So no longer do you have to enter all these values manually, but you can click on the wizard and then you will be shown this card. You can then choose at what size you want to print this, enter something that fits well on your machine bed. And then you click here on the save button to save that as PDF, and then you have to print it. Once you have printed this out, you can go to the next page, and then you would place this on different positions on your work surface and capture a frame each time. Something like 8, 10, 15 images is usually a good value. And using these images of the card, the app then automatically calculates the correct calibration values. Then you will be brought back here to this window, and all these values should update with the correctly detected ones. Framing was made more configurable. Framing is when you click this button up here, which causes your laser to travel around the engraving area. So this helps you position your workpiece in your machine. The added settings are under machine settings for the laser. So you can have individual framing settings for each of your laser heads. You can configure the power as before, but what's new is the speed setting. If you want to have this different from your machine's travel speed, then you can set that here. The repeat count and whether to pause at corners. Some other changes that you may have noticed already. The G-code viewer is no longer on this side here. It has moved into the bottom panel. So now you can choose to show either the console or the G-code viewer. This is one of many changes that we have planned for the main window to make it more compact, also more friendly for smaller screens. And another change is that the add button has moved from the bottom into the header here. A new merge lines post-processor was added. If you go into the contour settings or any other operation, then you will see under the post-processor the new merge lines post-processor. It's enabled by default, and what it does is remove duplicate lines or lines that are close to one another. So these here have a distance of 0.1 millimeters, and if you want to remove some of them, then you can use this post-processor to avoid double cutting. So why is it not visible here? This post-processor is one that runs at the very end of the job or at the very end of the layer, and what you see on the screen is only the result for each individual workpiece. To see the complete result, you have to go to the actual preview here, and then if you scroll in or zoom in, you will see, yes, the double lines here have been removed, so it would cut this only once. Then there were a lot of updates in the sketcher. The circle tool was replaced by an ellipse tool. So if you select this and now drag, then you can see you can do this freely. You can hold Ctrl to constrain it to a circle, hold Shift to resize around the point where you originally clicked instead of making that the corner point. So let's make a circle. Now, when you create new geometry, the app automatically creates constraints based on how you edited this. Let's click here. And now you see, depending on where you hold the mouse pointer, you see some helpers, some reference lines. For example, now I'm here horizontally to this line, and this is shown. Or I'm on this point and this point highlights. So there are a lot of helpers also for equidistance and many other things. And when you click on one of these helpers, then you will automatically get a constraint in many situations, at least not in all situations. But if I click this point, for example, then it's automatically attached. So you can see this is now 1 unit. There were some importer improvements. One of them is the PDF importer. Previously, the PDF importer only imported as a bitmap. Now it supports direct vector import in the same way that SVG and DXF already work. You have by default this direct vector import enabled, and you can select also which layers you actually want to import here, which was previously not possible. You can still choose the old way by toggling this off, then it would be imported as an image as before. The SVG importer also got a small update. It now has this DPI setting. If you open an SVG file that does not have any dimensions, that has only coordinates in it without any units, then you can set here DPI, which is used as a conversion factor to convert whatever units are in the SVG to the output. For example, if Inkscape uses 96 DPI, if you're using Illustrator, it uses 70 DPI, and if you're using an old version of Inkscape, it uses 90. So you really have to know how this was saved originally to be able to convert it to the correct dimensions. There were many other changes as well. I'm not going to show all of them, but the 3D canvas performance was improved. The handling of dialects, G-code dialects was improved. Many bugs were fixed and much more. If you are interested, have a look at the changelog for the full list.